There's a good chance no Illini will be drafted for the second year in a row in April's NFL Draft. Right guard Nick Allegretti has a great chance to get into an NFL camp, and kicker Chase McLaughlin will certainly have some NFL interest. Despite the lack of recent draft picks, 20 former Illini that played in the NFL in 2018. Akeem Spence continued to be a disruptor in the middle of the Miami Dolphins defensive line. Denver Broncos tight end Matt LaCosse broke out, and Clayton Fejedelem was named an alternate for the Pro Bowl yet again. Injuries were a big storyline, as 5 former Illini saw their season come to an end due to an injury. Plus, Fejedelem, James Crawford and Justin Hardy proved that Illinois continues to produce some of the best special teamers in the NFL. Illini Inquirer ranks the 20 former Illini who are in the NFL based on the impact that they had for their franchise this season. Michael Hoomanawanui sustained another head injury in training camp and didn't play a snap all season. It was the 5th concussion in Hoomanawanui's 9-year career, but he's effectively become the Saints' assistant tight ends coach. Hoomanawanui is a free agent after the season. The president stuck on the Titans practice squad for the regular season, and he signed a reserve future contract with the Titans to stick with them for the offseason. President will have to become a standout special teamer if he wants to stick on a roster. Christian DeLauro signed with the Cleveland Browns as an undrafted rookie free agent, but he was waived on Sept. 1. The offensive lineman is currently toiling on the 49ers practice squad. The 6'6", 300-pound versatile offensive lineman will put in the work over the offseason with hopes of making San Francisco's roster next year. Josh Ferguson is on the Texans' practice squad after the Indianapolis Colts gave up on the change-of-pace running back. It was a disappointing 2018 season for Ferguson, as he didn't tally one carry all year. Malik Turner hauled in 2 catches for 20 yards for the Seattle Seahawks this year. Turner was active for 6 games, and the big-bodied wide receiver had 1 catch for 19 yards against Carolina on November 25. Turner was on Seattle's practice squad for a while, but when the Seahawks cut longtime Bears wide receiver Brandon Marshall, Turner was put back on the 53-man roster. Seahawks star wideout Doug Baldwin has dealt with injuries and has already eclipsed 30 years of age. If the Seahawks resign Turner, he could have a great chance to make the team next year. Carroll Phillips injured his groin after appearing in 6 games for the Colts. Phillips had 4 tackles this year, and he got to play under former Illinois defensive line coach Mike Fair. Vontae Davis garnered headlines in a negative way back in September when he retired at halftime against the Los Angeles Chargers. Apparently, Davis only needed to play 6 quarters for the Bills to realize that he was done with football. The 10-year NFL cornerback finished his career with 409 tackles and 22 interceptions. Davis was a 2-time Pro Bowler, but the way he left the NFL left a bad taste in some people's mouths. Dwayne Smoot didn't play in the first 8 games of the year, but when the Jaguars shipped Dante Fowler Jr. to the Los Angeles Rams, Smoot got back in the rotation. He finished with 4 tackles in 8 games. Smoot had 5 pressures on 35 snaps against the Colts in Week 13, which was probably his best game of the season. Smoot has played in 24 games in 2 years and has yet to tally 1 sack. The Jaguars desperately need Smoot to make the jump in 2019. Jihad Ward was poised for a breakout year, but the third-year pro got hurt after just 6 games. Ward had 3 sacks despite being in a rotation at defensive end. Former Illinois defensive line coach Mike Fair really brought out the best in Ward, and the future is bright moving forward. The veteran offensive lineman had just gotten cut by the Houston Texans and was dealing with multiple nagging injuries, but the Chiefs still swooped in and picked up their former second-round pick. Jeff Allen was happy to be back in Kansas City, and he responded by playing in 10 games and garnering 4 starts. Allen could get the start at left guard over Cameron Irving today when the Chiefs tangle with the Colts with a trip to the AFC Championship game on the line. Geronimo Allison's career-long 39-yard touchdown. The Packers moved on from Jordy Nelson, partially because they believed Geronimo Allison was ready to take that next jump. Allison shredded the Chicago Bears for 5 catches, 69 yards and a touchdown in the Packers' come-from-behind 24-23 win in Week 1. Allison had 19 receptions for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first 4 games, but he injured his groin and would only catch 1 more pass all season. Aaron Rodgers needs weapons, and Allison has proven to be one of his favorite targets behind Davante Adams. Allison could be poised for a big year next season if he can stay healthy. Ted Karras played in 13 games and started twice, protecting Tom Brady. The offensive guard has just 5 starts in his career, but he's carved out a good role for himself as a quality depth piece for the biggest dynasty in the NFL. Karras has also paved the way for a really solid New England running game. The Patriots will have a tough showdown with the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday, as Karras and the Patriots try to get back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd year in a row. Corey Liuget had to sit 4 games for violating the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs but came back with a vengeance. In 5 games, the defensive tackle racked up 14 tackles and 1.5 sacks. But in a 23-22 loss to the Denver Broncos, Liuget tore a tendon in his quad and his season abruptly ended. He'll cheer from the sidelines with the hopes that the Chargers can make a deep postseason run. The Packers signed James Crawford as an undrafted free agent, and he became the special team captain. The rookie was one of the best players on Green Bay's coverage teams, and he led the team with 8 special teams tackles. Justin Hardy notched 19 tackles, 2 pass deflections and 1 interception this season. Hardy picked off the Redskins' Alex Smith and returned it 77 yards, coming up just short of a pick six. Hardy is one of the Saints' best gunners, and he helped New Orleans finish 13-3 and get the number 1 seed in the NFC. Hardy Nickerson Jr. finished 6th on the Bengals in total tackles, 57. Not bad for a former undrafted free agent. Nickerson started 7 games and played in all 16. But the Bengals finished dead last in total defense in 2018. Only Oakland and Tampa Bay gave up more points per game than the Bengals' defense. They'll certainly be looking to upgrade it, and it'll be interesting to see if Nickerson is part of their long-term future. Matt LaCosse had 3 catches in his NFL career entering the season, and he was fighting with 4 former Big Ten tight ends for playing time: Jeff Hoyerman, Troy Fumagalli, Austin Traylor, Jake Butt. LaCosse beat them all out, finishing with 24 receptions for 250 yards and 1 touchdown in 2018. LaCosse had 4 games this season where he hauled in more than 3 catches. LaCosse was one of the best stories for the Broncos. He had suffered 2 terrible injuries, been waived 3 times and barely made the roster. Now, he's made a strong case to be the starting tight end next year. Whitney Mercilus has seen his role certainly change in the last couple years. Back in 2015, Mercilus terrified quarterbacks all season long and finished with 12.0 sacks. He followed that up with 7.5 sacks in 2016. He played in all 16 games for the Texans, but he was in a rotation at outside linebacker and only had 4.0 sacks. If you take out an injury-marred 2017 season, it was the lowest amount of sacks for Mercilus in his 7-year NFL career. Akeem Spence started all 16 games at defensive tackle for Miami in 2018. Spence finished with a career-high 42 tackles to go along with a couple sacks. It was the first time in Spence's career that he started all 16 games. He was well worth the 7th-round pick that Miami gave Detroit for Spence. Clayton Fejedelem got off to a hot start in 2018, racking up 10 tackles in the season opener against the Indianapolis Colts. but he sealed the Bengals' 34-23 win with a huge hit on Jack Doyle which forced a fumble. Fej took the fumble 83 yards for the touchdown. Fejedelem finished with 35 tackles as he continued to be a special teams ace. Fej was voted a first alternate for the Pro Bowl. It's a heck of an accomplishment for a guy who was a walk-on at Illinois.